everyone. Edna Kimble, Edna Sells, Century 21 Right Real Estate, and welcome to today's episode, How to Real Estate. And today we have one of my favorite people joining us as a guest today. This is Miss Ashley Kaiser, and Ashley has joined us from Infinity Title, which is one of our preferred title companies here in Tahlequah. So welcome, Miss Ashley.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on here.
Well, we're excited to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the title aspect of it.
Well, that's kind of myself. I've started out in lending at one of the bigger local banks around the Tulsa area. And then after I had my daughter, moved into title. And that's kind of where I've been really ever since. But I just recently got married in October. And I have one daughter. She's 8. And she is a little outdoor enthusiast. And that's it. I just like to go home and hang out with my family when I clock out. So
Okay, perfect. And her daughter is adorable. she's Miss Personality.
I was telling them she is subscribed to your YouTube channel.
Oh, and she's a fan. Well,
She
that's
is.
even better.
I haven't told her I was going to be on here yet. I was going to let it be a surprise.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Well, she's adorable. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, you had mentioned that you'd been in the banking industry.
Yes.
Now you're in title, but I happen to know that you actually dipped your toe in real estate one time, right?
I did. I took a little stint. I honestly had intended to take real estate classes just to kind of know how you all's
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. From every
process works.
aspect. Yeah.
Sure, because when I got into title, I really just fell naturally into that compared to how I was in lending. And I really loved my real estate agents that I worked with. And I just wanted to really just take as much stress off of them as I could as a title person, because you all have a unique job, like a licensed therapist without the office.
So true. That's so true.
I did dip into it. It was a little conflict of interest with title, and I thought, it's a lot of work to get your license.
Yeah.
So I did want to try it out. It happened to be 6 months before COVID happened. And so I felt like I was really in it at a unique time period.
Wow.
I was
Yes.
baptized by fire. And the title company had actually asked me to come back because, there was just so much going on in the market during COVID. And so I popped back, and this is where I'm at. This is my natural place.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I just find that really interesting because we love to use local. We try to get everybody to close in the county that they're buying or
Sure.
selling in. That's really, really important. Okay,
Keep all
guys.
those dollars in
Yes,
there.
yes,
That's right.
keep it local. But my favorite entities that are local, title people have all actually at some point or another done the real estate,
done
and
it.
I think that's why they're my favorite. Is you guys get the stress that we're under and
Yes.
understand timelines. Like, it's not just a date
That's right.
on the contract; it's their U-Haul is loaded,
That's
and they're
right. Yes. And I think that's the aspect that I was happy that I got to see that. It is
Perfect.
boots on the ground. You know what I mean? When you're sitting in an office, it's really easy to say, hey, let's move that date out 3 days, or we're going to have to move it here or move it there. But yeah, when you're on the field, on the property with the folks crying,
Yeah.
holding their 3 kids, it's a different story.
You
So
were in real estate, right? I can tell.
it's a lot. I think definitely coming back into title after that, I have a whole new respect and love and tenacity about what I do now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
because
and
it really does
shows.
mean
It
something. Thank
really
you.
does show. Everybody's like,
you.
Ashley, I love it.
I
love
am
it.
happy to be where I'm at. So.
Okay, so now for people who, I mean, everybody obviously gets what real estate is, but kind of give us the breakdown or what your definition would be of title for those individuals who don't understand.
So in my version, my definition of that, really, in simple terms, when you purchase a title or a car, it's really easy to transfer ownership. It's kind of common knowledge. You need to have a title or a bill of sale signed and notarized, and that, you can look at it physically and see that there's no liens or anything like that on it. Real estate's not that way. It doesn't matter if it's a 30 square foot chunk of land, or it's a $400,000 house, or it's a $3 million commercial property. There is a truckload of paperwork behind it showing ownership and transfer. So what we do, we're kind of an intermediary party that actually makes sure that title goes from the seller to the buyer with as little documents as possible. And we make sure that that buyer is receiving that clear title. And then we obviously have the capability to grant insurance on that. That way, if they find out later that we didn't quite convey title as clear as what we promised, they get their money back. They don't come out a loss financially, or
Yeah. And that is huge. That is so important. When I first got into the industry, I was trained that 1 in every 1,000 would need title insurance. And then it became 1 in every 500, and then it became,
yes,
and I definitely find that if you're doing a split closing, it's more like 1 in every 20 because of the out of area attorneys.
sure. Yeah, everybody's different. Every attorney has a different opinion. And where the attorneys come in on that really is one attorney will say that you have clear title. Mm-hmm. One attorney argues that you don't have clear title. And at the end of the day, it really depends on who your buyer is, who your seller is, which attorneys they chose. And depending on how that works out, you could wind up footing a bill for someone's issue 30 years ago that they knew very well that they had. So,
and what I see is one of the number one issues that comes up is a buyer and seller do a for sale by owner, and they meet at the courthouse and they sign the paperwork at the courthouse and they file it. Yes. And in their mind, because they did it at the courthouse, they're good.
Correct.
And they were trying to save $200 or $300 by doing it themselves.
Yes.
And then when the new buyer calls me 3 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later to sell, now it's going to cost them about $3,000 and 90 days.
Yes.
To get the issue clarified.
Which can cost them days on the market. It can cost them a buyer. Yeah. It could, depending on what the move is for, it could cost them all kinds of things. So it is to me, it is a very cheap and cost-effective risk deference plan to have some title insurance.
I like that. Yeah.
It really is. All you're doing is taking the risk from yourself and your future generations, and you're putting it on that insurance company. Whether it costs you $500 or $1,200, it's worth it.
Okay. And then for those that are not familiar, can you give kind of just the same situation or simplistic definition of what an abstract is?
Sure.
Because most people have no clue what an abstract is.
Believe it or not, I'm in title, and I've never actually gotten my abstractor certificate, but I am a nerd about abstracts.
Oh, really?
Oklahoma's one of only, I believe, 2 or 3 states. I think Oklahoma, Ohio, and I believe there was one other state, but they actually just did away with abstracts.
Oh.
So an abstract is the entire history on your land in Oklahoma.
Had one here to be like
I know, I should have brought one because that's my favorite thing to do is to flip those open. But your abstracts, your entitled history to your property all the way back to statehood. Most Oklahoma abstracts, or at least definitely the ones here in Cherokee County, go actually back to 1838 when the treaty was signed between the tribes and the Congress of the United States.
It's like a little history book.
100%.
And it is a book, so if you're curious, if you have it, it's a book that the binding is not on the side, it's across the top.
Yes. Yep, it's across the top. It's a chronological order of every person that has either owned or had an interest in your property in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to read through and see who lived in your home or who owned the property.
Or just to see the drama.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, who divorced who.
I love the abstract drama. We could do a whole real abstracts of Cherokee County.
Oh, that's funny. Yes,
I would love to if I could ever get the free time and have enough people to volunteer it.
Yeah, and people always say, well, how thick is it? And that's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question because it completely depends. How many times did that abstract or that piece of land change hands? How many court proceedings happened over the lifespan of that? So some of them could be 100 pages, and then we had one last week that was 6 different books, and it was over 1,500 pages.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. And anytime that you sell a property, that abstract is brought completely up to date. So if you lose that abstract or you don't know where it is, there is an actual human being going back through every county record since 1902, compiling that again in a chronological order.
So they start at 1902 then, not 18?
Well, it kind of depends on the abstractor.
Okay,
So
okay.
some abstractors, because really anything prior to 1902 is really just informative.
Right.
But they really only have to start at where that very first person was granted or deeded that property.
Okay.
So
Okay. That makes sense.
yeah. So some of them will put that treaty in there, and some of them don't.
Okay, okay. And then as far as title insurance,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to weigh in just a little bit because what my favorite thing is to explain to buyers is that the attorney gives his opinion, and it's called an attorney's title opinion. And guys, it's just his opinion. There's nothing that will hold up in a court of law or
That's
back
correct.
it.
Yeah.
And so the insurance steps in case he missed something and his opinion is incorrect.
And
anything you would add to that, or?
That's very possible. I mean, just think about any time McDonald's gets your fries wrong or gives you the wrong sauce. You know, an attorney is an attorney. They're just a human being.
Yeah.
And you could have 6 different attorneys read through that abstract and they will all tell you something different.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's no coverage on that. A lot of folks feel like they can fall back on that attorney. They can, but
really?
it opens up 2 different court actions actually. So it would be one lawsuit against the attorney's E&O insurance, and then one lawsuit, of course, with whatever party that it is contending the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really.
Nothing covering you. Yeah, just
and
more
so
of
your
a headache.
attorney fees would probably be more expensive
Double.
than the title insurance.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It really is. I know a lot of folks come into my office all the time for closings, and they don't fully understand title insurance, which is perfectly fine. Everyone is 100% capable of making their own decisions, and I agree with that. But title insurance is definitely worth it, especially if you've seen the issues that can arise over a 3-foot disparity in the property line.
Yeah,
So.
it's the thing about real estate is it's dealing with people, so there is a never-ending amount of things that can go wrong.
And nothing is cookie cutter.
Right,
you know, there's
right.
no book or set of rules or anything like that on what can be argued, what can't be argued, anything. It's endless.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have a couple right now that are coming into the office every other day to ask us questions because they have a fence that's been there since they've lived there. And they have a new neighbor that's moved in, and that new neighbor is convinced that her mom had that 5 foot and she wants the whole fence moved. And it's just a heartbreaking. Turns out she doesn't even want money. She wants like eggs.
Oh, free eggs for life. Eggs are very expensive right now, Ashley.
So it is, you know, every case is just different. It's never what you expect it would turn out to be.
Okay.
Ever. So.
And then just for those, the cost of getting insurance.
Sure.
How do you explain that?
So title insurance is going to vary based on your coverage amount, and then
which is the purchase amount.
Well, so we can get into that. The coverage amount actually can be whatever dollar amount that you request.
Okay. And so that's kind of like what happened last week when
Yes.
Yeah, so 20 years in the business.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the closing and this light bulb goes off in my brain and I'm like, I have a very important question. I waited till the closing was over
Yes.
and then I asked, but it's unique because if you buy a $40,000 piece of property and get it insured for $40,000, the problem is you're most likely going to significantly add to the value by building a structure on there or moving a structure on there.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden you've got maybe a $300,000 home on this $40,000 lot.
That's right.
But you're only insured up to $40,000.
Up to $40,000. That's correct. So, yeah, you definitely want to make sure that your coverage is going to cover what title insurance covers. Let's say you're insured for $40,000 and you build a $300,000 house and it was accidentally built, you know, over an easement or something like that. And they're going to have to cut off half your house to dig a water line, whatever. you're only insured, meaning that that policy is only going to pay you out 40,000. So that's probably not going to replace half your house or the driveway or whatever. So you want to make sure that when you build that structure, you increase the value, just like your homeowner's insurance or your car insurance, that you increase that title insurance.
That's a great way to look at it.
It's an afterthought, but that's definitely, I feel like something between your real estate agent, your lender, and your title company. Hopefully, someone's looking out for you and make sure to let you know that.
Remind you.
Yep.
And it's basically a sliding scale. And as a realtor, the title company has shared that sliding scale with us so we can give an estimation of, and then always just keep in mind that to be able to get the home insured or the property insured, there is a mortgage inspection certificate or a survey that's required. Is that accurate?
That, yes and no.
That's real estate for you.
I
Yes
know.
and no. Yes
I
and
know.
no.
The good thing about title insurance, especially for owners, is you can kind of piece part that policy. Kind of like car insurance or homeowners insurance. So if you don't need flood insurance, you don't have to have that. If you don't need if you don't need rental car coverage on your car insurance, you don't have to have it. If you don't think that you need survey coverage on your title policy, or you don't want to be covered for any survey or encroachment issues, then you don't have to purchase that. Endorsement is what it's called. So there's a basic policy that is set out by the American Land Title Association, so ALTA. They have a basic policy, and then you can just add on to that as much as you want. And each one of those endorsements cost different depending on which.
Never knew that. I never knew that.
Depending on which insurer you're going through, different endorsements obviously are just different little chunks. So sometimes you'll see lenders absolutely require survey coverage. So anytime you have a lender, they're going to have to buy survey coverage, and that endorsement typically is around $100. And then if it's like a HOA, or if it's a POA, property owners association, or
Homeowners Association,
planned unit development, whichever, those also have additional endorsements to allow additional coverage to that lender, and those are usually a very small percentage of that title policy, so about $25 to $50 a piece.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and you can look those up online, all those
Oh.
endorsements. So you can just type in ALTA endorsements, and they will break it down for you, and you can literally just build your own insurance policy for your property.
Okay.
Yep.
And in the scheme of things, when we're talking title insurance, guys, it's a minuscule amount when you're talking about a $300,000 property. You know,
Yes.
so when you're talking about a $40,000 property, you're kind of insane not to do it. But I'm an
completely
insurance
agree.
person. Like, I'm not a gambler, so.
I agree. I'm risk deference 100%.
Yes,
Let that be
absolutely.
someone else's problem, not mine. You know?
Absolutely.
So it might be a phone call for me, but it's not coming out of my pocket.
Yeah.
I have bigger things to worry about.
Yeah.
That little girl likes to dress nice.
You don't want to be paying attorneys.
That's right.
And what I find between title and real estate, one of the number one areas where we run into title issues is when, and so I'm going to tell all of you, don't do this, but you're going to do it. But anyway, the family owns 40 acres, and mama and daddy give every one of the sons their own 10-acre tract. I just say don't do it.
I know.
Because then no one pays attention to driveways. The barn gets built wherever.
Yes.
The home gets built wherever. And then, unfortunately, death, divorce, disease happens.
Yes.
Somebody needs to sell, and then we've got a problem because the fence lines are not where they're supposed to be. The barn's
Sibling
not.
rivalry.
Civil,
I mean,
unfortunately.
yes.
Yeah,
And then you've
absolutely.
got landlocked pieces
Yes.
that you can't do anything with. And then the brother won't grant an easement because it benefits this one and that one. So definitely get someone involved that knows what's going on
Yeah.
if you're going to do that. Because
Yeah.
it is very popular here in Oklahoma to split those out
It's
incorrectly.
the number, and then it's almost even now when we go back and find an issue. Well, 20 years ago, the
Yeah.
brothers, everybody owned, it was all in the family,
Together,
so
that's
nobody
right.
cared. But
Yeah.
so just make sure that if you're doing that now, it's like your legacy, it's your family's legacy. And as a mom, I never want to put my children in a situation or the grandchildren in a situation that they're going to have to,
Yes.
fight for
Yes.
something. So hire a knowledgeable professional to help you get it surveyed out and do the legals and pay the money now to have everything filed
Yes.
correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a great example of that. I had a closing the other day with a very young man, and he was actually given the property by his grandfather, who had since passed away, and there was all kinds of title issues on it, and so that little nest egg that he thought he had was eaten up really quick with title problems. And I
Right.
guarantee you, the grandfather did not intend for that to happen,
No,
but it turned
no.
out to not be the gift that I think he had intended because of that. So
And that's what I say all the time is that, our grandparents or that generation did not work their entire life to then have it all eaten up in fees. So if
yes,
you're unsure, hire a professional because
yes,
so many people, it's as simple as just getting misspelling someone's name or leaving out an initial or not having the spouse sign, and now it's
yes,
an ex-spouse and he's like, I'm not signing unless you give me money,
yes, yeah.
so yeah.
Or even not understanding that there are different types of ownership and title.
Yeah.
Just because your name is on a deed doesn't mean that you solely own that, or So there's a lot of title issues that can happen. It's not the fun side of things, but that's what we're here for. Because
Absolutely.
we're the book nerds.
There you go. Take it to the nerd. That works.
That's right.
So, yes, yes. So what are some of the other things about your industry that the average, investor may not be aware of? And when I say investor, I think anyone right now purchasing a home is an investor because this market is crazy, and we've seen over the history of real estate, we've never seen prices go backward. We
That's
might
right.
see a stagnation or a little bit of a bubble, but after 3 to 5 years, it's always massive growth. So it's an investment.
That's right. I would say, kind of from sitting in my chair, what I would want folks to know about our industry is that we are on your side. We might have to be the bearer of bad news sometimes, but really, we are the ones that are trying to look out for the future generations, because it's really easy to just slap down a piece of paper, have you sign and notarize it, and then move on, and that takes care of your issue that day. But it might not take care of issues later on. And so, if your title person is telling you something, get a second opinion, absolutely, but definitely at the end of the day, understand that we're working for you, not against you.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I just find over and over again, the money you pay now
Yes.
is always going to be less than what you have to pay in the future to
Absolutely.
fix the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, attorneys' rates, because that's who winds up fixing those problems, those only go up.
A little more than your rates.
That's right, a lot more than our rates. So
A lot more
that's
than
correct.
your rates.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. And the good thing is, I've worked at a few different title companies. You find the folks that you trust, just like your real estate agent. You find the folks that you trust, that even if they are telling you the bad news, it's because they are looking out for you. So definitely find a team that you enjoy working with and trust, and go to them anytime that you have questions. We have people walk in all day long,
Yeah.
because they trust us, and sometimes it's the smallest thing, but it works.
Yeah. Well, it's much easier to ask before.
Before, that's right. That's right. It saves a lot of heartache.
Yes, absolutely. So the bottom line, guys, sometimes you're not saving money by meeting that person at the courthouse and signing the paperwork. In fact, I'm going to say I would never do it.
80% of no.
And I'm very knowledgeable, but I still wouldn't do it.
We also, a lot of folks in Oklahoma, and this is where I ramble, a lot of folks do what's called a walk-in deed. Well, they will walk into Staples or an office supply store, or they get on Google and they print out a deed and they just write in the names and they think that that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is not. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
If we can help it, let's not. But yeah, there's so many issues that come up like that. And the courthouse doesn't do any checking. They don't. They just notarize it and take your $18 and put it on public record. They do not care if it screws it up or not. So
yeah. I'm going to say, I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and there's unfortunately probably not a month that has ever gone by that's something new.
Yes, it's always something.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Experience, I was thinking about it last night. Experience doesn't always come into play the way that you hope that it would, like in other industries.
Right.
We're not the same thing as a car mechanic.
Right.
What makes a title what makes a title insurance officer, or your closer important is how tenacious they are about figuring out the solution.
Yeah.
Because it is never
But that's
same
where I
thing
think
twice.
experience is so
Sure.
important.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So,
Everything is fixable. It's just, some things take a little longer. And if you have someone that isn't up for the challenge, which is what it is every time, they're not gonna come through for you
yeah,
the same way.
yeah.
So
I'm just sitting here thinking of all the hundreds of crazy things that have happened,
I know.
on transactions.
Yes.
So,
And it is the most random solution sometimes. There's all kinds of affidavits that you can file. Um, we had one that I had never dealt with before, that someone transposed the number of a trust date. And it was actually the attorney that formed the trust. So every title after the formation of the trust was put the correct way, but the actual original trust documentation was not, which means that it clouded that entire chain of title because it was 1994 instead of 1993. And that, believe it or not, causes a huge issue.
Yeah.
So you've got to have someone that can kind of really think critically and reach out to their different resources and figure out the best, easiest, quickest, cheapest way to handle that.
cheapest
To get everybody, I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for. And it is important, to
Yes,
save your
yeah.
money there. But, yeah, that was just a weird one. And turns out it was like a Scribner's affidavit that you could file.
Scrivener's affidavit.
Scribner's
Okay,
affidavit.
that's a new one.
That's what I
You got
know.
me.
It was new for me. But it was basically, it's just an affidavit that is someone that was present physically at the time of the formation that says that it was a mistyped error and that this right here is the correct way. And then an attorney reviews that and says, you can clearly see through the history that it was meant to be this one, and I'm going to pass it and let it go. And so that's what happened.
So that saved a lot of time and money.
It saved a lot of time and money and a lot of quiet titles.
Yeah, yeah. And you were somewhat of a detective in your business. Do you think
100%.
that?
Oh, yeah.
Like trying to track people down?
Yes.
Like Facebook stalker pro? Pro?
I am.
Absolutely.
I've probably done that before.
Yes, yes.
I think I did.
Yeah, you have for one
The
of
Tulsa
mine.
one, I think.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. We
Yeah.
needed, the gentleman had not been part of the process for like 15 years or
Long
something.
time. Yeah.
And you tracked him down
Yeah.
and got a signature, and we were able
Someone
to
show up at the
actually
store.
closed on time.
We did.
Yes, we sent someone, you guys, and got it all done.
He was really polite though.
Yeah, he was a sweetheart.
And it's
so.
it's also always a fun conversation if you're a people person to be like, hey, I found you on Facebook. I know you don't know me. And I like it. So
Yeah. So.
I put all my quirky things to use here at Title.
Yeah, and you really have to wear a lot of different hats. It's very similar to real estate.
It is very,
Yeah.
it is very just a different goal, I should say.
Yeah.
A different facet of the goal.
Absolutely.
Because it's all one goal.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, so tell us a little bit about Infinity Title, because that's who you're working with.
So Infinity is one of the longest running title companies here in Cherokee County. It's changed names a little bit. It's family owned. Our current owner and his father kind of started it and ran that together. And I came on after some staffing changes, but it's really the best group of folks that I've ever worked with.
Yes. So Dean Allen and
Oh,
Jeremiah
yes.
Allen,
Yeah.
and Dean passed away last January.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and he was an encyclopedia.
I have heard wonderful things.
Oh my gosh.
I got to work with Jeremiah, Autumn, and Dean on a few different files when I actually worked at a different title company.
Okay.
And I came after Dean.
Okay.
So I hadn't really ever met him, but you can just tell he was a legend. I mean,
Be a legend who
people
left
love
a
him.
legacy.
He
Absolutely.
did. He really did.
Absolutely.
He did.
So, well, and the thing that I love also is that Jeremiah is local.
Yes.
We're always trying to support local
Yeah.
and build that up. And so the owners that live local, and he actively works the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I first got there, I don't think that he'd taken a day off in years.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe
We were happy to have you come on.
decades. I know.
He was getting a
No
little grouchy
pressure.
there.
when I first came on, I always said he barks.
He barks.
He said,
yes.
"No, I don't."
And then he barked at you.
I said, "Maybe sometimes." No, it's a fun, really fun, great group of people to work with. They are top notch here in Cherokee County. They really are.
Perfect,
yeah.
perfect, and that's why we love them. So, well, so this is like a how to real estate show. So I always like to bring it back to the real estate industry side of
Sure.
it, and I like to ask our guests a little question. If money was no object and you were purchasing your dream home, what three things would that dream home have to have?
Privacy.
Privacy, okay, like
Wooded privacy.
in the middle of 100
Trees.
acres.
That's right.
Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Windows all over. Sunroof.
Okay.
Sunlights.
Okay. Natural light.
That's right. And a massive bathtub.
Okay. The big jacuzzi.
Have to have a huge bathtub I can sit in and lay in right next to a window.
Oh, nice. Oh, so then you do need the 100 acres.
That is me. That's right.
You don't have to have window
That's right.
treatments,
Nature brings me peace and joy. So
Nice.
me and neighbors aren't exactly the best. But yeah, if money was not an issue, that's exactly where I'd be.
Okay.
On the top of a hill in 100
acres.
I'm calling.
Start shopping. Absolutely.
I know it.
Well, those are not crazy things.
No.
Those are definitely a good wish list.
I've seen some great bathtubs, so.
Oh, there you go.
I've got it picked out.
Yeah, but you've got like a cool clawfoot tub,
I have
right?
a great clawfoot
Yeah,
tub.
I was
Oh
gonna
my
say,
gosh.
you've got a good one.
I got the bathtub, I got the trees.
Okay.
And the windows are coming in the fall, so we're there.
Update those windows.
That's right.
We're so excited that you were able to join us
I'm
today.
so glad you had me.
Absolutely. So again, Infinity Title, Ashley Kaiser. We're going to put Infinity's information below. So those of you who would like to work with Ashley in the future, you can just tell your trusted advisor, or if you're doing something with not involving realtors, you can just reach out and let them know that you would like to work with them. Our fount of knowledge. I'm not kidding you guys. I would not close one without you guys.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
thank you for joining us
Absolutely.
today. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment. And if you would like to be a guest on the next episode or want someone specific to come on, reach out, let us know. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.